also have here on stage Alberto from Trison and Oliver from Macom. And yeah, actually we are very interested in the Porsche project because there is a different challenge in this project. They changed the rule of the digital signage business. So in the past, always a general constructor was responsible for the projects, and Porsche decided in 2019, 2020 to do a new tender with a new approach, where Porsche is responsible for the project management and holding everything together, but there are special pieces, and I think we are very interested to hear how this is going, and especially for me it's also very interesting because in my former role as the Xplace managing director, we started this project in 2015, and you took this over, and I'm also very interested how it's going, and also especially in this pandemic phase where you took over the project. Maybe we will start directly with this question, Oliver. When you took over starting this project in 2020, it was during the pandemic. What do you see? What were the challenges and during this phase? And especially, what's your role in this project?
Thank you very much for introduction. So, to be honest, I have to step a little bit back in time. The project or this shift in the role model didn't start actually in 2019. It started about 2 or 3 years ago already, when Porsche decided to rethink their retail model, and they thought about looking very deeply inside how their customer expectations shift in the future. They looked into new emerging markets, especially into Asia, into South America, etc. And we were in the role to support Porsche in the first pilot projects as a consultant. So maybe I have to say we have a pure consultancy role. That means we don't deliver hardware or software or integration services. We're basically interacting in between, translating the business requirements into technology strategies, but then go very deeply in the engineering, develop the system architectures in a very detailed way, and then managing the integration process. So it's more a kind of technology consultant and outtasking of project management roles from the end customer to us. So Porsche then decided to start with some pilot projects for new formats, like a studio format, which is more inner city format with pop-up stores, temporary installations, and with the new dealership model. Yep. And during these pilot projects, which were more focusing on the store design and on the technology integration in the different store formats, we started to discuss with Porsche how we can scale up in the future, because the scope of the now running framework contract was to deliver and to modernize, as well modernizing existing locations, but also deliver new ones, around about 680 locations worldwide, globally, within a 4-year period. And therefore we said, okay, how can we provide, so we as Porsche, supported by us, this scalability, and then we started to discuss about the different roles in this model, and there was for sure one major role from a technology point of view, which is the software part. To have because if you decide to go for a software partner, and you integrate this totally, it's very hard to change the software again, especially in the future when you see about integration with backend systems, about all the data analytics, etc. So software was one key part, and it was easy to separate the software part from the general contractor. And then we said, okay, according the integration part, which is a major business critical part, to be honest, if you think about delivering 680 stores with more than 7,000 touch points within a very dedicated time frame, you need a very professional systems integrator. You might need more systems integrator because you think globally. And if you look in the typical landscape in Europe or in the other global markets, typically the proven systems integrators are smaller companies as well from their financial background, but also to resources. And so we built up a model which enables Porsche to be more flexible. But the decision was not taken to go with one. And then we scouted the market. And so we found, by the way, Trison as one very interesting partner. Maybe I can head over to
Alberto. Yeah. How was it from your point of view, especially also in the pandemic phase when you take over the project, also looking for Asia, because there's a strict lockdown still?
Yeah, I mean, it was difficult due to the circumstances, that we say, no? I would say, but the project was very well planned. This is the truth, no? So I have to say that Macom did an extraordinary job in making all the planning, all the specifications, thinking about any potential issues, so that when we get started together as a team, we take in the role, as Oliver said, no, of global system integrator, we were ready for anything that could happen, no? Even COVID, no? So it is true that we had to migrate, as you know, more than 5,000, almost 6,000 no, touch points at that time during the pandemic. It was true that in this migration that took place between March and more or less August that year, most of the dealers, they were closed. In some countries like China, they even had 6 internal borders. Yeah. So even though we have teams in 13 countries, as you know, in 16 offices, it was a challenge for us to move our people on site in the cases we couldn't access remotely, no, to the players, no, for the migration. Honestly, the way I see the project, and a little bit going to the past, as Oliver said, is that Porsche has a clear view that what we are doing is strategic for them. And this is the reason why they are so involved in the project at a high level. Yeah. And since it is strategic, they needed our companies as a single point of contact for deploying the project worldwide. In the role of Macom, clearly, with the strategic planning, with all the procedures, and obviously controlling what we do in order to ensure the right quality, because Porsche is very demanding. Yep. And in our case, having a single point of contact at every dealer for hardware, software, and contents. So anytime there is something going wrong, that happens because technology breaks at a dealer, they don't phone Grassfish, they don't phone Macom, they don't phone Porsche. They only have the Trison name. No?
You are the first contact.
We are level 1, level 2 for the project, and all the invoices to the dealers, they only come from Trison.
Yeah. Oliver, is this the first time you work together in such a project? So also with Grassfish?
We worked with Grassfish, to be honest, in the past, more on a project level, not in such a large program. But we met when we scouted the European integration market. We met Trison, we met MQ, which was also participating, which is very scalable and professional company. And it was for us as a consultant, it was quite interesting because in the past we had to focus more on German, on companies located in Germany, helping them to define standard strategy and deploying projects on a global scale already. Yeah. But for us as a company, it was also a door opener into the European market space and learning which kind of interesting integration companies are out there in the European market with their special competencies in dedicated markets or technologies or so on. And this helps us at the moment for other clients to provide this know-how and recommendations also on a European perspective. Yeah.
a question according to the software. You said at the beginning you helped Porsche to schedule or look into the market, what's available. And I remember when we started, or we had the project running with Scala. It was first on Scala based. Mm-hmm. And you all know Scala was bought during this project from Starter Cache. And in 2021, Grassfish was bought, or there was a fusion with Trison. Was this also, did you had an internal discussion about this? Because the software is not independent anymore?
Yeah, it's always a critical issue if the ownership of a major part of such a program changes, and so was when Grassfish was acquired. But there was a very good communication also from Grassfish to Porsche and to us once they could talk about it for sure. And so nobody was so surprised, and we spoke openly about potential issues, which are important factors from Porsche's side, and we are always this kind of mediator in between and stepping in another perspective and take over this advisory role. And we were participating, and I think communication was the key in this shift, and the communication about the strategy of Grassfish for the next years, which gave the security to Porsche then, yeah.
Okay. Alberto, if we look to the hardware side, you're managing now 7,000, 6,000 touch points?
Well, around 7,000
touch points. And as I remember, there were a lot already rolled out when you take over the project. What is your point of view about the robustness of the hardware in case of failures and also in the case of on-site services? Because what we currently see is rising of service costs. How do you handle this in this project, in this worldwide project?
I mean, for us, it's like other projects we handle, no? As you know, we also handle DSS Group in more than 70 countries, or Rolls-Royce in about 90 countries, no? So we are used, I would say, prepared for that. Not used to that, but prepared for that. We have really thought very well about change management, and that means taking over installations made by others, because it happens. We never go now to a new customer that has nothing in digital signage. So we are used to it, and prepared for the takeover. And honestly, I think we have quite, first of all, the systems and the procedures to handle this. This is super important.
Yes.
To have everything ready for that. And also we have certain features like our customer portal, etc., that makes all the communication also easier now in the project. No? So that, for example, Macom receives daily a report on what's going on in the installations worldwide. No? So obviously it's a challenge, because when you run a project in 112 countries, there are always problems, no? Yes. But we are here to solve problems, no? And it is the way we behave.
So do you have also special guys in China currently to handle this?
Yeah, well, in special China, China is a very important market for Porsche, no? As you can imagine. We have our own team in China. It's around 25 people, and they are very specialized in what we do, especially in LED, that you know that it is very important also in the Porsche project, and we do it ourselves. For example, China is one of the countries where we almost never subcontract, and we do it with our own personnel.
I think, just to add an important point from this point of view, if you see the increasing service costs and the increasing number of touch points which is rolled out, you have to think about, on the one hand, to be local and have a very efficient team locally to manage the incidents. On the other hand, we constantly look together how we can make the single touch point integrations much more easy. So take complexity out of it, standardize, make it easier, and this on the one hand, and on the other hand, we invested a lot in a platform to monitor and to manage the assets. Yeah. So to remotely get access on system status and to proactively manage.
Is this a job from Grassfish that did it? The BI tool with the insights?
the access to all the consolidation of the data is lying at our case. We have an operating center located in Frankfurt, which is quite also a new role for consultants to provide kind of operation center. But we do more the management of the processes behind. And we get data from Grassfish, from Trison, and from third parties, and then organize and manage the incidents.
So this project is a global and worldwide project, and we heard also a lot of content today, and in the content case we have a lot of translation, and you have Arabic languages and different types, also in China, different languages. Is it your part, or is it your part to organize this, to manage the content part, or is it the Grassfish part?
That's basically done by Grassfish and by the local markets and different content providers, which are different creative agencies, content producers. So we as a team only provide the infrastructure. And the process is to do it very efficiently. But the contents are coming from either Porsche themselves or creative agencies they have under contract.
It is like this, no? But we really make a team. I mean, we have weekly meetings about contents because we had to, we feel part of Porsche team for this project, and we are, and we participate in all the activities, no?
So we're running out of time, but do you have any advice for the audience for such kind of big projects to keep an eye on?
I think lifecycle management is one of the key aspects. So change and lifecycle management. Don't underestimate how much effort, complexity is in change and lifecycle, end-of-life management of components. This is for sure one issue. The other issue, especially from our point of view, is that we see a fostering in this role of the operations rollout and project management, which is normally a role which has to be done by the end customer themselves. But they can't provide this role because they don't have the resources or the know-how maybe, and they should focus more on the further development, on the strategy, on sticking close to their businesses. But I think this is also one major role, and we see at the moment, I think just in July, 13 projects were finished. We have over 200 projects running actually, and so it could be a scalable success model, maybe.
I think it is. No, if we are here today, and thanks for invidis, no, for inviting us to be on stage, is because Porsche project now is a case study, and probably the case study, no? Because they are global rollouts. I don't know if many global rollouts, they reach 112 countries with an ex-business day SLA in service. So we constantly are serving those dealers, no, in 112 countries with an ex-business day on-site SLA. And besides that, with a complex project that includes Crestron for having domotics in the dealers, obviously the visuals, the audio, SR marketing, music in store, IoT, and all combined under the same umbrella, under a single point of contact. No? So for me, the message is, if we are doing it, we can do it. No? So we have to repeat it.
I thought this. Okay, so I would have many more questions. Do you have any questions from the audience? Yes.
What was the biggest challenge you had, and how did you overcome it?
What was the biggest challenge, and how do you overcome it?
So a big challenge in day-to-day business, I think, is at the moment that we are dealing with, on one hand, Porsche own dealerships, and then a lot of investors which operate a dealership. And at the end, they sell luxury cars for more than 100,000 euros, but they are dealers, and so every kind of investment in the space or in technology is weighted, and it's a high challenge to educate from project to project the decision makers how important it is to invest a little bit more to get a system running. So this is a constantly issue. And the other challenge was to educate Porsche maybe to split the roles in the delivery concept to make them more flexible and more future-proven. Yeah, Alberto.
Yeah, I think you express it really very well, Oliver. No, so it is like this. I mean, it is a challenge, but as a team, we were able to deliver. No, for me, this is the most important thing.
Okay, so we are running out of time. Thank you very much for having you here. Bye bye.